Hi. So Ryan, when people have questions, are you fine if they just unmute themselves to ask questions?
Oh, sure. Yeah.
Good.
I'm working, so I'm going to unmute myself when I have a question. But other than that, I don't want to have my pounding to bug you guys. So,
Oh, Zoom's good about not blocking all that stuff out. It's
all
crazy.
right, great. All right.
What? Zoom
Okay.
automatically blocks out noise?
Yeah, because I didn't realize that the one at one of the I mean it was like my third or fourth online workshop, and I'm like yelling over my flex shaft, because I'm carving at full speed. And I'm like, I'm sorry about the noise. And they're like, we can't hear you. Zoom blocks it out. You don't have to yell. I'm like,
I
well,
think
that's cool.
the olden days, they didn't do that.
Right, yeah.
So if my dog barks, do you think it blocks it? I don't think
Sometimes it does. It recognizes it as not somebody
so.
talking.
Okay, good. Good. Well, it looks like there's a good number of people here, even though we can't see your beautiful faces. Thank you for joining us. And
You guys can turn on your cameras if you want.
yeah, we want to see you because
They're not scary.
your name's, well, none of
Well,
us aren't famous.
Susan might be a little bit,
I
but
am, but um, there we go. Hi, Rachel.
hey, there's Rachel. I know Rachel.
You might know everyone in this group, but we love to see you. Hi, Cindy. Um, you know what? Let's just assume that people can hear us even if we can't see them. And I will. Hi, Pat. Thank you all for being here. And I'm going to assume that some of you have met Ryan in the past because he's talking to you like you know each other. And he's coming through you through telepathy, coming to you through telepathy. And Ryan's been a regular guest of ours. We just can't stop inviting him, and he doesn't say no. So here he is again. And we're going to be talking about a workshop he's going to be doing in a couple weeks. Some of you may have signed up for it. Some of you may have taken other classes with Ryan, and we'll talk about how this class is going to be different than others. And for those of you who haven't met Ryan or you just want to hear his story again because it's pretty sweet, I've asked him if he'll introduce himself and tell a little bit about how he got involved in metalsmithing and why he's still doing it, and all the fun things that go along with that. And for those of you who haven't taken classes with Ryan, I've had the fortune of taking I think the only one I probably took two real classes from you, and then I just assist in the other ones, which is a way that we can be together and I can try to help other people and learn a little bit myself. Um,
Mhm.
but Ryan's like the most laid back, relaxed, easy to talk to, sweet, patient as a saint. Um, sweetheart really of an instructor, and it's so nice because he does this amazing work, but he doesn't have any of the stuffiness that goes along with people who are really talented sometimes, and we're very much a grassroots learning environment where people just need to be relaxed and disarmed and not nervous. And as you explore something within yourself that you've never done before and it's being witnessed by an accomplished somebody, it can be really intimidating. And Ryan's like, oh yeah, that just happens all the time. Here, let's talk about how we can fix that. Like it's just like, oh, I love you already and I don't know you. So that's the kind of energy that happens in the room that I love watching because people feel so confident. And if you're super accomplished already and you want to take it up a notch, Ryan will like think of a way to make it harder. But I haven't been in that camp, so I can't talk about that. But for those of you that are here that want to hear Ryan's story, I've asked him to share a little bit about how he started metalsmithing, and then we can move into very specifically about this class and the kinds of things that you'll learn in it. We have 14 people. As far as I know, we might have 15, but 14 people for sure I know that are signed up. 10 are in the studio, which means if you're local or you want to travel to Atlanta, there's two more spaces for in studio, and we can accommodate people online very comfortably. So you will get individual time with Ryan if you're online, and you'll also get individual time together in the studio. But we figured out a way to work it out so that we can divide our energy and have one-to-one time with people who are online, and then we have figured out a way to bring the worlds together. um, Rachel, this is not going to yet be at the new space. Ryan is the grand finale of our working at our older space, and we're saying some prayers to the construction goddesses about when our new space is going to be open. We're getting back information from the city about permitting. And of course, we're already at the place where things are going to be more involved than we thought, but we're hoping for the beginning of October as a startup date. And then our move out of our space is going to be August 22nd. So from August 22nd till October 5th is the date we're giving ourselves to start business again, assuming we can get a certificate of occupancy. And, you know, we didn't break the law or do anything that the city decided at the last minute was not up to code. But I think it's going to go great. And we're going to have probably about 1,000 square feet, maybe a little bit less than 1,000 square feet more. But the way it's laid out gives us a lot more space than what we've had, because it's just like a loft, basically, only it's on one floor. So, you know, it's just walls and a floor right now, and a couple of bathrooms that are very old that need a lot of attention. So, you know, all the way down to installing air conditioning, and place has never been air conditioned before, but it has 3 of those garage doors since it used to be an auto repair place. And they're building a green space right across the street where all the city arts things are going to be. And there's a brewery about 2 blocks away, which I'm sure I'll frequent. And so it's sweet. It's going to be in a retail place, and it's right across from a railroad track. And on the other side of the track is a huge lumberyard construction business that's been in town forever, a family business. And so we're on the railroad, and I'm already dreaming up railroad merch, you know, like blue and white striped aprons and whatever. We're going to be a little tacky, but should be fun. So I will turn it over to you, Ryan, because I could talk about Mag all day. And
I'm excited to see the new space. I know I got worried. I got that email that said we're moving in August. I'm like, but I'm supposed to be teaching in August.
you're like, we close shop like the
Yeah, like don't worry,
Monday,
it's after.
Monday after your workshop until that, like, Friday night at midnight is going to be the longest week in history, you know, because but we'll have a lot of volunteers. It'll be fun.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, we'll feed people well, play good music, and pack up like, you know, whatever.
Sure.
We'll have to move everything to storage and then move again. But our contractors would hate us if we moved all our stuff in and had to work around them. So
Oh yeah.
so we'll be in the full
Cool.
throttle. We're really excited. It's gonna be
Well,
nice.
hello. Yep. Well, hello everybody. So like she said, she asked me to introduce myself, give a little bit of my background. So obviously I'm Ryan. So I first stumbled upon jewelry making in college. I started college as a different, I was in the College of Arts, but in a different medium. I was actually doing digital. So I was originally wanting to do like movie special effects and animation and stuff. And um, that was still a BFA, part of the BFA program. And so you had to take other mediums, you know, for that, you know, the well-rounded degree, blah, blah, blah. And so I took jewelry, you know, jewelry metals 1, just for the fun of it. I've always, you know, through high school and, you know, and all that, I always liked working with my hands. I was always heavily involved in the arts and stuff. And so I took the jewelry class, thinking it'd be cool and just nothing else, get some Christmas gifts out of it for that year, you know, or something, and just fell in love with it, and started researching jewelry artists because you know, before I took that class, I didn't even know jewelry artists were a thing. You know, my exposure to jewelry was the mall, you know, jewelry at the mall. You know, I had never experienced jewelry artists and anything beyond, you know, the uh, you know, K jewelers, you know, and commercial jewelry. So um, it was eye opening, and I fell in love with it, and so I kept taking metals classes, and was failing my digital classes because I was spending all my time in the jewelry studio. So I decided I should probably switch majors. And that in school is where I was introduced to Michael Boyd. I was able to get him to come out and do a workshop with us at school. And then because of that relationship from interacting with him there, I was able to actually, when I graduated, he let me come out and do an apprenticeship with him in Colorado. which was supposed to be 6 weeks. And I ended up working for him for about 9 years. Um, so it just worked out nicely. By the end, I was working less and less for him. Because the goal was always for me to go off on my own. Neither one of us ever dreamed I would have been there for 9 years working for him. But yeah, it just worked out, and so then I finally went off on my own jewelry wise completely. Um, then he and we eventually teamed up together in the Colorado Center for Metal Arts for a short time. We were doing classes and workshops out of our own studio in Pueblo. Unfortunately, COVID uh, took us out like a lot of other businesses. We just didn't have the people traveling. Once things opened back up, people still weren't traveling, and being in Pueblo, we didn't have a local market to really work from, and so we relied heavily on people traveling, and just made it to where it just wasn't doable. So we closed the school, and then once we did that, my partner and I decided we were ready for a change. The rest of Colorado was very, very expensive. So we came back to Ohio, where I'm from, be closer to family, be able to spend more time with family. And it was actually better for him and his job. He's a school teacher, and they actually pay a lot more out here than they do in Colorado. So when he saw that, he was all for all for the move. So yeah, so I'm back in Ohio now. I've been back here for about a year. And part of what made them move doable too was my parents have a really nice space in their house that was perfect for me setting up a studio. And so we were able to, because we still had to sell our house and all this stuff that hadn't sold before we moved, but we had to get back here for his job. And so we just moved into an apartment nearby. I still work out of my parents' house. And we're having fun. Going to start the house hunting soon, but for now it's working. So that's
And then-
my little background. So obviously I got my real interest working with stone from working with Michael. And before working with Michael, I had made maybe one bezel setting in school and rarely worked with stone. It was all really metal focused with an occasional stone, here or there.
Jerry Jensen.
Um, but uh,
Sure.
so it was yeah, with Michael, working with the stones, learning how to manipulate stones, and just use them in fun and interesting ways that you just don't see everyone else doing. um, and so this class actually came out of I wish I could say I even thought to do this class on my own, and I didn't. I don't know why, but it's a technique I'd been using for a little while, and then it was actually oh, I'm going blank on her name. Oh, Leslie Ann McEwen. She asked me if I would teach that technique for the Florida Society of Goldsmiths online as an online class, and I'm like, sure, I've never done that before, but yeah, well, you can throw something together, and um, turned out it seemed something people really wanted. So it's become a new class for me. This class coming up will actually only be the third time that it's happened. I've done the one online and one in person so far with this class. So it's still, this group will be only the third group to even take this class with me. I know that, I mean, unless they're lying to me, it seems everyone has really enjoyed it. It's something different. Um, with my other carving class that I've been doing for a number of years, that one focuses on designing within the stone. It's intaglio and relief carving and showing those processes. This class actually really incorporates the manipulating stones for a functional purpose, and combining the metalworking to make it work. And so you'll a lot of people actually leave with a finished piece or close to finished piece because of that. The workshop is not set up where you have to. You know, um, I'm not, I'm never one that designs a workshop where everyone makes the same ring or something like that. Like, I want you to learn these techniques and be able to apply them to what you do. It makes it a lot easier than just learning how to make somebody else's design. And so it makes it a lot, I feel it makes it a lot easier for students to then incorporate it into their own design aesthetic if they're learning it, being able to do it within their own design aesthetic. And you can bring your own stones if you want. If you have stones or materials you really like to use, you can bring them and use them in the class. I will have materials, some that are free, some that have a small cost to them. Um, and I have all the tools and everything needed. So I also always try to design my classes because, unlike most people, I just took a workshop for the first time in years last year myself, and I understand it gets expensive between tools and materials and everything needed, especially if you're traveling to do the workshop and stuff. And so I try to, at least from my end, make it as affordable as possible so that you can pay the workshop fee and be able to take the whole class without any extra expenditure if you so choose. I have the only caveat is using my tools means sharing a little bit, but I have enough that I've done that for all of my classes for the last, I don't know how long I've been teaching, 6 or 8 years. And I've never had an issue with people getting frustrated waiting for tools or anything. So, and I even got a bunch of new bits and stuff for this class coming up. So there's even more brand new bits and stuff to work with. So um, it's gonna be a good class. I think people really enjoy it. It's something different. It incorporates both. I have classes that focus on the stone carving. I have classes that focus on some jewelry fabrication side of it, and this one really truly integrates both, with the stone carving and the metal fabrication. So if there's no questions, I'm gonna go ahead and switch my camera. And so part of part of what we're doing is so the main focus of this class is doing something basically like this. This is a very simple example of what we're going to be doing. But so I have the outside quartz. It's just clear quartz crystal, with the amethyst in the center there. And then so what we're going to be focusing on, we'll have the stones already cut. So we're working with already cut cabs, either that you've purchased or cut yourself. Most of the stones I use, I cut myself. So I cut both of these cabs. And then so then what we're going to be doing is we have to carve out that opening to accommodate the amethyst. So that amethyst and the quartz are both sitting on the same back plate. And then so we fabricate all of the metal working. I'm going to show you how I go about aligning the bezels and how to solder them all in place. So that way, once you go to set your stones, that all fits together correctly, and all lines up correctly. We're going to be working with round stones. We're going to be working with stones with corners in them. And so, carving out those openings, obviously carving, the carving tools, especially the ones I have, at least, it's all spinning. So it's geared towards round. So round is always the easiest, and what I always suggest people start with to get a feel for it. But then I'm going to be doing both, where we do um, things with corners in them, like this ring, where it has the teardrop tanzanite. We'll talk about bezels. You could use a faceted stone or a cabochon as your center stone. So we'll talk a little bit about um, how we might want to do, how we might want to fabricate that setting for a faceted stone in the center versus a cabochon in the center. So like this one too, has a teardrop and this pendant, dinosaur bone and morganite together. Um, still rounds or ovals. Um, ovals still have to be, you got to be a little more, it's still a little bit harder than just doing the true round. But even keeping the true round can be difficult, and actually keeping it round and not going out of shape. And so we'll be talking about all of that, the different steps and tricks that I use to try to keep, um, to keep everything lined up. Because for me, what I look for is um, not a tight fit, but a really close fit. I personally don't want, like, huge gaps between the two different stones. I want them to look like they're really integrated, right inside of one another. Not to say that you can't have gaps. There's nothing wrong with that. Just I would make sure, that they, look purposeful and not just an accidental gap because one side was too big. What we're also going to talk about too is just going part way with it. We're doing stone within a stone, so that doesn't necessarily mean it has to be uh, completely inside the bigger stone. We'll carve out little places to accommodate stones on the side so they can be sandwiched right in with one another. And so you don't have to completely carve out an opening, kind of thing. So we'll be touching on all that kind of stuff and all the metalworking. And for the students involved, I will be working on making it a finished piece, whether we put a ring shank or a bail or something on it. But with you guys, it's completely up to you, and what you want to do. I don't dictate where you have to make a ring or a pendant, or I mean, you can make a pair of earrings if you want. It's all up to the students and their own motivation on what they want to do. So
So I noticed, can I ask a question, Ryan?
yes, of course.
The round one that looks like there's an amethyst in the middle and then the gold on the back with the crackles, that one piece that you just showed,
With the
the pendant.
the pendant
Yeah.
with the gold on the back. You mean this one?
Yeah, or is that not gold on the back? Is that just the stone and I can't see
That's
it?
just the stone. Yeah.
Okay, it looks
It's
like
a,
you put gold in the back. Okay, so all the things that you're going to be doing are not incorporating using any of the leaf, right? It's just carving the stone, or is it both?
no, this one doesn't really incorporate the leaf.
Uh-huh.
That's the stone carving at the bench where we're
Right,
working on, that's where we're carving patterns and designs
right.
into the stone and then applying gold leaf and doing a number of different finishes.
Uh-huh.
This is more, we won't be, the stones I bring and stuff, because I always do, if I'm doing pieces that combine, like the earring, like this, where the quartz is carved.
Right.
All of that carving happens after this process, but before the
Okay.
stones are set.
Oh, okay.
And so we are doing the before process, not finishing the design. Kind of, that's up to you guys. If you guys want to carve, if you've taken my other classes or know how to carve stones and carve designs. If there's time and you ask the question, I could talk about it, talk you through it, because it's very similar using the same tools, but it's not something that we're focusing on in this class.
So if someone has a piece of quartz though that they've already filled with the gold from another class,
Oh yeah, you could absolutely use that. Absolutely.
because this you carve on the face of the stone, not underneath, right? Or both.
Well, we're carving all the way through, so it's so
Right, but
you might carve through some of that pattern that you did, and
okay.
I've done it both ways because I've had stones I've already carved and then decided I wanted to do something with it differently. But if I know I want to do the stone within a stone, I tend to do that first and then do my carving so I can make sure that I'm, incorporating and knowing where that opening is going to be before I do the carving in the back.
Mhm. Okay, thanks for that.
Will you be going into anything about how to actually set? Because the thing that terrifies me on Stone and Stone is that inner setting, which
Yeah,
may be
no,
the
that's
way you're
yeah,
doing it.
we'll
We
be
do it
doing that.
first.
So that's what
Okay.
I will either put it on a ring shank or put it on a bale. I tend to decide that last minute, or if if students have sometimes they want to see, a lot of students want to see like how my process for attaching a ring shank to something,
Mm.
or attaching a bale, like what I do to attach bales or something. So I always kind of get a feel for what might be more because there's not always time for both things. There might be. We'll see. But yes, I will be attaching it to something and then also
And setting it.
setting the stones so you can see the process for setting and what has to happen first and all that kind of stuff. Because yes, if you do it in the wrong order and stuff or do something out of whack, it can make it very difficult to set some of the other stones or the inside stone. So
Mm. And for what was I going to ask you? Forget it. My brain is not working. I'll come back to myself later. Oh, I know. I was going to ask the decoration that you do that surrounds a bezel,
mhm.
all your special um,
Yeah,
white.
we do.
white
I do that as part of it too, because that's part of finishing it for me, and that happens typically. I do that part before I attach it to something, and so I do that as a part of it too, because people are always curious how because I add that texture after. I don't leave like any sheet or anything on the outside of the
Right.
bezel. It's soldered on after the fact, and so I show that I show how I do that as well before then attaching it because it's a lot easier to do that before it's attached to a bale or to a ring shank or something. And if you're putting a bale on it, you definitely need that there first. Otherwise, your bale will be in the way if you decide to put something else around it.
Oh, I remembered what I forgot too, besides that question, is
Uh-huh.
in the scheduling of the class, like some people have very long demos and less work time, and some people have like, I'll teach you something for a little while, then you'll have some work time, then I'll teach you something new, then we'll have some work time. How do you imagine you'll divide up your time in this class?
So for the most part, I do it the second way. I usually kind of space out the demos throughout the day.
Mhm.
When it's a hybrid class like this, I try to focus. I think the last time I was there, what we did was it was technically a couple kind of longer demos at the beginning of the class, and then right after lunch. Um, and then I might grab them if a question is asked or something comes up. I'll say, "Everyone, pay attention."
Okay.
But I try to with the hybrid classes, I try to keep some sort of a schedule so that way the people online know it's okay. It's safe if I walk away for a few minutes. I'm not going to miss a demo.
Mhm.
So that way it's not just random demos, but I do kind of spread them out and make everyone know when they're happening. But I spread them out versus like one super long demo and then the rest of the day working. That way I don't overload them with too much too quickly.
Yeah, we've gotten a lot of feedback about that second process where you teach a little and then people have time to work. Then you teach some more and people have time to work because most people, I think, if they're not doing it, they're not really learning it. They can
Yeah.
remember maybe, but by the time they leave, shh. And to that,
Yeah, no, that's if you do too much all at once, you don't when you go back to try to do it, you don't remember everything they did in that super long demo. And so that's why I'd like to break it up. So I do a little bit and then have them go try that. And that helps for it to, at least in my opinion, it helps for it to really sink in and they can grasp it and have an idea, then they can also, they're trying it and can ask questions on it right then, and not have to go back and try to remember and not even know what they need to ask because they don't even remember the step in the first place.
Right. Okay. And then for everybody that doesn't know how we do things at MAG, ideally at the end of the evening, we'll send you a link to the day's recording. So if you missed anything or you want to go back and like have something really sink in, before you fall asleep, you can watch it again. Or for
And
people,
that's for in person and virtual. Both
everybody.
everybody gets a copy of the video,
Yeah, so
whether
the first
they're
day,
in person
first
or
day, the second
virtually.
day you'll get 2 days, the third day you'll get all three, and then you can keep them for a month thereafter. And it's invariable that somebody will have a life issue where they'll say, "Oh my gosh, my grandma died. Can I have another week or whatever?" And we're not going to try to make your life difficult. Just get in touch with us. And then I just always ask Ryan because it's his material. It's not, you make a
I
living.
never care.
Yeah, well, don't say that because then they could keep it for a year and you might care. But
Well, maybe not a year, but
anyways, the generosity is usually available. So don't worry that, 30 days seems like no time at all. Um, and then if you're like someone else I know, if you forget how to do it, I can tell you that, Ryan, you've been very generous. If I forget how to do something and I'm like,
like someone else
okay,
you
Brandon,
know or you.
okay, Dwyer turns into a 2 millimeter bell. Yeah, something
No,
like
I'm always available. People, I tell my classes to email me, message me on Instagram, whatever. I'm always happy to answer questions and help out,
yeah.
even long after the workshop has taken place.
Yeah. So this is not only do you get to learn from Ryan, you get to be on his A list, right? You'll, you'll have a friend in that. Um, so we're excited about it. Who has questions? Anyone? I'm looking to see people awake.
I have a question about Ryan's history, if he's comfortable sharing it. If he's not, that's totally okay.
I don't know. It depends on the question.
I know. I hadn't realized you spent that much time working with Michael.
Yeah.
And I'm curious as to what kinds of things you did and any struggles you might have had trying to separate your creative vision from his, having been so entrenched in his style early
Yeah.
on.
Oh, yeah. I mean, it was difficult, especially at the beginning because I was working fairly quickly. I was working full time for him, and so I was, 9 to 5, kind of, 5 days a week, give or take, and so, um, when you work that long working on somebody else's designs, and then you go home or turn off your brain and switch over and it's hard to then separate. I'd all the time would be working on a piece and be like, yep, that looks like a Michael Boyd ring, so nope. And so it took some time, and I there, it was like, for example, I had never made a cuff in my life. um the first cuffs I ever made were Michael Boyd cuffs, and so it was years before I made a cuff because anytime I thought about it, I only thought of elements and things that Michael did in his cuffs. And so it was a long time before I even tried making a cuff because the only way I knew how to make a cuff was to make a Michael Boyd cuff, and so I just didn't make cuffs. And so it took time. Part of, I think you can obviously, I mean, the influence is there. I mean, you work 10 years for somebody, part of the whole reason of working for him, apprenticing with him was to learn from him and then go off and use it in my own work. And so, um, and so, you know, figuring out how to do that in a different way, it took it was a conscious effort to not make his stuff. And especially once I really started getting into um the carving, when I really started getting into the bubbles and the other designs and thing. I mean, the carving I do realistically is very simple, and really, it's, I always call it novice, because I mean, you look at carver, you stone carvers, like Dalen Hargrave and stuff like that, are doing these huge, beautiful imagery and stuff, and I'm just like, I make bubbles. But I've at least been, that is that incorporating that has really helped me to move away from Michael in my designs, because he doesn't do that kind of carving. And so that helped
It shows
a
the
lot.
effort that
There's
you've put
still,
into finding your voice. It shows.
oh, well, thank you, I appreciate
Yeah.
And it's gotten so much more pronounced in the last few years. It's just like I see something and I'm like, how'd you think of that? I see something. It's like,
that.
you're really
Sometimes it was just they were laying next to each other on my bench.
right.
I've done that on more than one occasion. I've had two different things going on at the same time, and I accidentally set them next to each other. And I'm like, huh, those look really good together. And now it's one piece instead of two.
No,
So
it's reassuring to know that you
hopefully
can
that answered your question, Rachel. Okay, good.
such a
Thank you. I was afraid it was a little too personal, but it's one of
Oh
those
no,
things I've
not at
struggled
all.
with when I've taken coursework. And so I know it's
Yeah.
sort of this balance of how do you find your own voice out of the pieces.
Yeah. Well, and that's part of where when I talked about teaching, why I teach process-based workshops versus, project based, because project, you're teaching a specific design on top of, and so it's I
Damn it.
when you do that, it's hard to separate the process from the design. And so if I at least for me personally, if I can just learn the process and be able to incorporate it into my designs, I find that far more valuable as a form of learning for myself. And so that's what I try to do teaching. And sometimes it works, I'm sure.
Any other questions? There.
Okay. Well, even if you're not taking the class and you're in Atlanta area, feel free to come in and stop by. Um, if you've never, you're welcome. I'll have, a bunch of work and stuff with me. You're welcome to
Come
come.
shop.
Well, you can shop, but you can also just come look at it in person and see, people. There's some people that have only taken online workshops with me. And so if you're in the area, feel free to stop in and you can really examine things in person. I think that really helps the learning process as well, is to not only learn the processes, but to see how they are used in a final piece. I think can be helpful. But yeah, and come say goodbye to Mag, because that's going to be the last thing there.
Yeah, that's an important finale, Ryan. You
Right?
get like a special
I
award.
have to have a party.
Let's see, Jennifer says, I have a question. I've taken classes, but wondering if you have a suggestion for an heirloom piece that has scratches on a stone, how to polish them out.
Faceted or cab? Oh, faceted. That's more challenging. um, what you can do carefully is there are wheel felts. I just happen to have my drawer right here. So this is a wheel felt bit. And then there's diamond powders that I get from Lasco Diamond Products. Um, they start out looking like this. They've got a lot of different grits. I mix it with Vaseline to use it with the felts. And with the felts, you could really lightly buff out some of those scratches with the different grits and diamond, making sure you're cleaning the piece in between those steps. Don't mix up, don't contaminate your grits with the other grits, but you can carefully buff them out. It's not going to be perfect. The best might be to just kind of focus on the table, and get your scratches out of the table, and that might be enough to have it look a little better, but not ruin the facets. Because especially as you're going on the different facets, you're not going to get them perfect, and you're going to buff the edges a little bit too, and so they won't have the crisp edge to each facet. Doing it this way, I mean, the only real way to do it where it's a pristine faceted stone again is to have it refacet, have a faceter redo all the facets, but that is going to cost you some money too to have a faceter do it. But you could buff out. I would, again, like I said, I would maybe just focus on the table, or something like that, and not necessarily do all the facets, so you don't buff out those edges, because that's part of what makes it sparkle. But yeah, faceted stones are a little more difficult when it comes to that. If it were a cab, it'd be easy using these felts and the polishing compound. You can easily buff stuff out of cabs, but the facets make it more difficult. I don't know, Susan. Do you know any faceters? Are there any, like, you're muted, by the way,
Some
Susan?
some people think that's a good thing. Uh, I once accidentally opened a thing of super glue like this with my teeth, and the glue locked my lips together. And my kids were young, and they were getting ready to go to school, and they were so excited that I couldn't talk. So
That's
sometimes
hilarious.
it's helpful. Um, oh, I forgot my question. Sorry, I got I got carried away in telling you a different story. What did you ask me?
Do you know of any facetors
Oh,
that
yeah.
might?
Mindy, do you know any facetors? I don't personally know anyone. Rachel, is there a facetors guild?
No, I don't. I mean, I have to think about it. I mean, I'm sure I do, but nobody in Atlanta that jumps out of my head. So I'll think about that.
Yeah, I mean, I know a couple people outside of. I mean, the one for sure I know of is in San Francisco. But you also have to find one that will do this kind of thing. Some of them don't find this worth it. Um, and they just cut their own stones and sell them. They won't even cut stones for you out of rough. That's not
Right.
there.
Yeah.
Mm.
So that's a thing. Rachel said, you could check a facetors guild. We have stone cutting, and we have what's the other one
Yeah,
called?
I mean, I guess you also wouldn't necessarily need to. I mean, if you're willing to ship it, um,
Yeah,
you can find some and ship it. I guess nowadays that's fairly easy to do.
right. The other
Just
thing,
remember having that done is going to make the stone a little bit smaller,
mhm,
um, because they have to resurface every facet that they're going to be removing material, and so um, it does make the stone smaller. So you might have to adjust the setting when you go to reset it into a piece. So just be mindful of that as well. If it's worth having the size reduced, also.
and then the other thing for people who aren't really lapidary oriented that I have found really helpful, just a plug for the Jewel Tool lapidary thing. I don't own that myself. Mag has one with the lapidary wheels. I have the tool, but I don't have the lapidary set. And it's amazing what those little laps will take out, and they won't if it's just the table. That's where I would say it's going to be the most helpful in reducing scratches. I don't know about the facets though. I can't.
Yeah, well, without the arm to get the correct measurement,
Right.
it'd be impossible to get the facets exactly right. But um,
Out of
but
my
yeah, that would be a good one for just focusing on the table or something. Yeah.
right. So, yeah. But if you guys want to share your resources, Rachel had a great one. And
Yeah, she put the link in the guild. That'd be perfect place to start, if nothing else. But
and then we have the different gem and mineral societies where people do lapidary work and they teach stone cutting and faceting, but that seems more guildish and not like super expertise driven, more like there's talented people that will teach, but I don't know if they're doing repairs like that.
yeah, there is that lapidary school that's north of Atlanta.
Right.
I forget.
Well, William Holland.
Yeah, William Holland. I knew it was Holland something.
Yeah.
But
he might know if I don't think he does faceting, but he might, being he's in the lapidary world, he might know of facetors in the Georgia area or something. I don't know.
I might also suggest appraisers, people who, in that part of the world, they really know who in a community knows how to do something like that. So I might
well, they know
go
people
through the
who would
appraisers.
do it because they'd know people for restoration. So.
Exactly. So that was my thought.
Yep, that's a very good thought. I didn't even think about that.
So
And
anyways,
Rachel found a facetors guild in Georgia, in Atlanta.
Yeah, it looks like that they have some activity. There's a Facebook group that's private that's got 13 people in it. There's references to people who've cut stones for them as recently as 4 weeks ago, but I don't know whether they're old cuts that are just being shown on Instagram now. So you might dig around and see if there's any reference.
Nice, yeah, that's a perfect place to start.
yeah, that's great to know.
Thanks, Rachel.
I'm so glad that you have to live in Oregon to teach us about our city here.
I had no idea there were such things as fasteners guilds until I moved out here, and I was super excited. They do really beautiful work in the crew that they've got here,
That's
and they're a
nice.
very active guild.
That's awesome.
Just a whole nother rabbit hole to climb into for a lifetime. Mhm.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Let's see. Anything else?
I was gonna say, is there anything I missed you wanted me to share, Susan?
I don't, but there are people that might be, bubbling up with questions for you.
Yeah, if you guys have any other questions. Well, easy
Well,
enough.
if you go to sleep and you wake up with questions, you can call Metal Arts Guild. Our studio manager, Ryan, a different Ryan than this Ryan, will help you if you have questions about the organization. He will help you with that. If you need to know anything, and I'm Susan at Metal
And if
Arts.
there's something else you have a question about the class specifically, feel free to reach out to me.
Right.
Happy to answer your question about the class or tools or materials or anything happening. So.
And if you decide to come last minute, and
Well, like I said, because I bring everything with me, even if you decide or someone deciding last minute, I will have everything they need to try to take the class. They don't have to. You can sign up the day before and take the whole class. You don't have to worry about getting the materials ahead of time.
that's great.
For those of us that are virtual, is it possible to grab the list? I just want to see what materials I have and what it would take me to get them in.
Oh,
Yeah, the list should be on Mag's website, I think, right?
the supply list is on the
Download supply list. Who knew?
I was gonna say I thought they posted a link to it, but I could be wrong.
sometimes it's hard to see.
Oh yeah, and if you have any questions about it, again, Rachel, feel free to reach out.
And if you have any questions about anything metalsmithing, feel free to reach out to Ryan. Great.
But true, I have a hard time saying no to people.
Yeah, you guys might want to take advantage of that until the spine gets better.
Yeah.
Boundaried. Push that a little bit. No, it's just your nature. I don't think you're going to get around that, Ryan. You're just
No,
very kind, and that's a wonderful thing. So
I've been for going on 40 years now. I don't think it's going to change now.
such a grown up. Okay.
Well, it's weird.
Yeah, your parents raised you well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll tell them.
Yeah.
They don't need compliments.
So anyways, we'd love to have you. And if you don't come to this class, we haven't published our full 2026 thing because we're busy trying to move into our place and figure out where we have room for everything. But we will be bringing you a strong workshop and really strong class schedule in the next month or two, starting really in October,
And I'll
November.
be doing other virtuals and in person with Mag next year as well. So
We didn't even invite you yet, did we? I'm just kidding.
no, but it's been
The
you
regular
have not invited me for the last 4 years or 5 years. So if you don't invite me next year, I'm going to be, my feelings are going to get hurt.
Oh, not have that.
They don't like me anymore.
There's enough of that going around. We're gonna. I mean, people keep coming to your workshop, so that says something.
Yeah, that helps a little bit.
You keep coming up with really fun classes. Ryan was teaching a class that I asked about because a mutual friend of ours was signed up for the class, and I'm like, "Why didn't you ever teach that for us?" And Ryan said, "Well, I can't believe you missed that one. That's one of my first classes I ever taught." And I'm like, "Well, I don't think you taught it for us, did you?"
Nope, I
Yeah.
didn't.
So that we're recruiting. That's a stone setting class. You know, like tube setting, bezel setting, flush setting. What are the others? Tab setting
Yeah,
and
yeah, 4 focuses on those 4.
yeah, maybe prongs. I don't know. But
No, not prongs. I hate prongs.
I know I've never seen you do prong work. Yeah.
I just had to do prongs the other day. I hated every minute of it.
Well, thanks for sharing.
I
Asking you to teach
did it, but I hated it. It's one of those things of, yeah, okay, the income would be nice, but
Did you only have to do it once, or did you have to do it more than once?
no, it was for somebody local. They had they actually Xander, they're somebody who follows Xander and has she was I think she's a wire wrapper. And so she wants to learn, eventually she wants to learn metalsmithing, but she had some stones from Xander that she wanted set, not in actual pieces,
Yeah.
gold and stuff, prong set and stuff. And so I reluctantly told her sure, and
Couldn't talk her out of it.
and it worked, but I did it, but it was, I don't know why, I just don't like prongs.
It's helpful, I think, for people to hear that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Right? Like,
Well,
why-
that's why I definitely don't do them enough to teach it. There's definitely not. So,
yeah. Well, there's plenty of other things
but,
to.
oh yeah, there's plenty of other things.
So thank you, everybody, and thanks
Of
for your
course.
support of being here and your support of Ryan and Mag. And we're just excited to see what's going to roll in. And more, we're so aware of how important it is to have a place where you can come and rest your heart from the craziness in our world and just be amongst people who want to do something that takes us to deeper places and places where we can explore something special about being human, and
Doesn't like playing with shiny things.
yeah, and just kind of that exploration of your own heart in a way that you might not get day to day. So,
And I don't have a class list, so if you are going to be taking the class, I look forward to seeing you. But I have no idea who's actually in the class yet. So,
well, I can send you
if you are
that.
here, and taking the class, I'll see you in a couple weeks.
If you haven't decided yet, but you decide to come, we'll see you soon.
Yeah, and if you don't know yet, come. We'll have fun.
Yeah, that's our big pitch. But wait, there's more. Okay, you guys.
You want to take the class?
You can stay online for a hypnosis workshop, and that Ryan will lead that. You'll wake up thinking, "Oh my gosh, what was I thinking? I need to sign up for that class." Right. Okay. You guys are really sweet.
Right.
Thank you for being
Thanks,
here.
everybody.
Okay.
Thank
Good
you. Bye-bye.
Take care.
Bye-bye.